Have you ever finished a workout feeling completely drained? Maybe it's not like right after your workout, but maybe it's later in the day. You're exhausted, you're drained, you're fatigued, and you're wondering what is going on. Maybe you've wondered what you should eat before a workout. Should you eat something? How much should it be? Maybe you just have coffee, or maybe you have found yourself starving later in the day after training or even the next day. If any of that resonates with you, this episode is for you. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see moms make with exercise is not fueling their bodies enough to support it. Today, we are talking about how to fuel workouts for strength, energy, hydration, and recovery, whether you're lifting weights, training for a 5K, or preparing for something like a Hyrox or a CrossFit competition. This is important not only to support your exercise and your performance, whether you're training for something, you're just going to the gym, you're getting back into your movement routine, but as a busy mom, the strength, energy, hydration, and recovery are all pieces that we need to fuel our very busy days. Enjoy today's episode.
Feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, or like you've lost yourself in the postpartum chaos? Whether you're 4 weeks postpartum, 2 years in, or done having babies, you deserve to feel like yourself again. Hey mama, I'm Val, a functional sports dietitian, postpartum fitness coach, and a mama who understands exactly what you're going through. Welcome to the Strong and Nourished Mama podcast, where you'll find simple, science-backed strategies to heal your core, rebuild strength, and restore your energy without the overwhelm. If you're ready to go from depleted to strong, nourished, and unstoppable, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Last week, we talked about bone health and why strength training and nutrition matter for our long-term health. So not just right now, what we're doing in our busy mom lives today, but decades from now. Today, we're continuing that conversation by talking about something that directly impacts your workouts, how you fuel your body. Because your workouts alone are not enough. Your body needs fuel, which is energy and nutrition, to perform, recover, and actually adapt to the training you are doing. Does this sound familiar, mama? Listen here. You're working out consistently. You're back into your gym routine. Maybe you're 3 months postpartum, maybe you're a year postpartum, wherever you are, and you're still feeling exhausted. Your workouts feel harder than they should. Okay, why am I not recovering as well? Why am I still really sore? Why am I not seeing progress? You're trying to lose weight, so maybe you cut carbs, or you start thinking about what you should do to what you should remove, more likely, from your nutrition. Maybe you skip meals, but then later in the day, you're starving and you're like, what is happening? I don't have any willpower. Or maybe you feel like you're trying everything, but nothing seems to stick. Listen, mama, you are not broken. You might just not have the right plan. And take it from Jess, a mom of 2 who just finished my group coaching program. Jess said, Val's program really helped me gain the mind and body connection I was missing in healing my pelvic floor. Her program is packed with information, but presented in a way that is easy to understand and follow. So in my 8-week group coaching program, the Strong, Nourished, and Energized Mom Method, we really focus on rebuilding your strength, fueling your body properly, and creating habits that actually work for a busy mom life. And that mind-body connection is so important, especially when you start making your way into the gym and you're doing other things throughout your life. Inside the program, we focus on rebuilding your core and pelvic floor so that no matter where you are in your motherhood journey, P.S., it's never too late to heal your core and your pelvic floor. Some moms think, oh my gosh, my kids are 10, my kids are 20, my kids are 40 years old, and I'm experiencing issues, but it's too late because they're so much older. Please know it is never too late to start healing and rebuilding your core and your pelvic floor. In the program, we also talk about strength training and progressive overload and what that can look like in busy mom life. We dive into fueling for energy and performance to be able to recover well, to be able to have the energy during the busy day. And if you wanted to train for something or not, that is there for you too. Improving recovery physically, mentally, emotionally, and building sustainable habits that actually last. Are you sick of getting on TikTok, getting on Instagram, and trying to piecemeal everything together and trying to create something? Or maybe you've taken a program in the past and you're like, okay, well, that didn't really help. Like, I'm still having issues. This program is for you if that is how you've been feeling. If you're ready for the kind of clarity and support that we have in this program, you can learn more and apply at wellnessbyval.com/program or head to the show notes for more information. All right, let's talk about fueling exercise. I love this conversation. Before we dive into the science of fueling our workouts, I want to share something from my own experience. I grew up very active. I was playing soccer in high school. I transitioned from soccer to cross country and track. And I used to think it was kind of a badge of honor that I didn't need to drink any water between workouts or sets, or even not eat as much as other people. And I thought it was like, oh, I'm so cool. Like, my body doesn't need that much water. I can still go run these 1,000 meter repeats at the pace that I'm running, and I don't need water. And somehow I thought I was cool. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the stupidest thing ever. I was so ignorant. I knew nothing. And I wish I could go back and sit down with my high school self and say, you actually do need to fuel your body. You actually do need the hydration. It's not cool. And your body is having to work overtime. You need water. You need carbohydrates. You need recovery, because those things are what allow your body to actually perform and adapt to training. In college, of course, you're going to college, you're eating in the dorms, you're staying in the dorms, you're eating there and eating out, staying out, drinking. And, sometimes there's some weight gain there. And so I started exercising and really not paying attention to my nutrition as much. Even though I was studying nutrition, I was really focused on the exercise and probably overdoing it a bit as well, and not fueling my body adequately for that exercise. And so as I learned more about nutrition, as I started to work with other mentors, as I was going through college, I started to shift how I was fueling my own body, not just for exercise, but for everyday life. Because these are the things that are actually going to allow our body to perform and adapt to training. And the funny thing is, now that I understand fueling so much better, I am actually stronger now than I was back then. I am way stronger now. After having a baby, I am stronger now than when I was in track, when I was in cross country and going to school. How cool is that? That is amazing. And I talk to a lot of moms who, especially after finishing my program, they feel stronger and feel more capable of just doing their everyday lives. They have the energy. They can start to lift heavier weights and pick up their toddlers without hurting themselves. And they feel stronger now than they did before they have kids. Let's start discussing why fueling matters. When I see busy moms, busy women right now, maybe it's in a one-on-one, maybe it's in the group coaching program, maybe it's something that I overhear or just having conversations. And maybe right now they're skipping breakfast before a morning workout or after their morning workout in the chaos of the morning of taking kids to school and daycare. Maybe they're cutting carbs because they want to lose weight, or maybe they're cutting their fat because they want to lose weight, delaying meals because life gets so busy they forget to eat, drinking coffee instead of eating before training, and then wondering why workouts feel harder than they should. Energy crashes happen later in the day. Hunger hits hard in the evening. And we think it's this lack of willpower. It's not. It really isn't. We think we suck and, oh my gosh, why can't I have this willpower to do this? I was doing really good during the week, and then on the weekend, I can't keep up with it. What's going on? Now, this applies no matter who you are and what you're doing. If you're lifting weights, you're training for some running or endurance event. I was just talking to a client last week who was training for a half Ironman, and we talked about her fueling not only around her workouts, but outside of that timing to really make sure that she can adequately have the energy to be able to do everything she is asking of her body. So whether it's training for a 5K or like my client who's training for a half marathon or somewhere in between, maybe it's doing CrossFit. I was talking to another client earlier this week who goes to CrossFit 5 times a week and wants to be able to start focusing on their nutrition to be able to recover well and have the energy, and then to also meet their goals. Maybe it's preparing for something like a Hyrox competition. That's something that I just completed in February. I just did my first Hyrox. I probably should do an episode on that. That would be super fun. But maybe you're training for something that it's endurance, it's strength, it's CrossFit, it's anaerobic, it's power, it's weightlifting, whatever it is, your body needs fuel fuel, period, the end. Even if you're not exercising intensely or training for something, if you're walking, you're doing little mini workouts or little HIIT sessions, your body still needs fuel, especially for your busy day as a mom. Think of motherhood as the most intense workout of all time, and we have to be able to fuel that. So when I was training for Hyrox recently, so my competition date was February 20th, and we decided last minute, I did it with a partner, we decided at the end of December, so we started training at the beginning of January. Fueling was a huge priority for me. I also got sick a lot from January to mid-February, and I tried to do as best as I could with that. But outside of being sick, I made sure I was getting 130 to 150 grams of protein per day, which seems like a lot. And it is a lot, especially if you're eating 60 grams a day or even 90 grams a day. 130 to 150 grams of protein is a lot. But I didn't just start there. I didn't just go from 60 grams to 150 grams. It's something that I've been focusing on for the past few years. I also made sure that I had enough carbohydrates to support my training. So that meant meal prepping and planning ahead of time so that after my 5 a.m. workout, I had something that I could fuel with on the way into the office. I really focused on fiber for digestion and overall health. Getting in those plant foods not only give you the fiber, but they give you phytonutrients, phytochemicals, vitamins, minerals that also help with exercise intensity and support. Of course, you don't want to pair fiber, which we're going to talk about around your workouts, but you need these nutrients to be able to recover. And also fun foods, because balance matters. I didn't restrict myself. It's not like I said, oh my gosh, you can't have ice cream, can't have cookies, you can't have chips, you can't have that. I wasn't very strict. I was really focusing on balance. I have a toddler. I have a 2.5-year-old, and I didn't want to do that while training for something fun. Like, it was supposed to be something fun. I also made sure I went into my workouts fueled and hydrated. So I see this a lot with the clients that I work with, the moms that I work with. We're going into our workouts dehydrated and underfueled, and that's significantly decreasing our performance during workout. It's increasing risk for injury, and then it's really hard to recover after. When you're asking your body to perform at a high level, you have to support it. You have to support it. Think of athletes. The Olympics just happened, the Winter Olympics. Think of those athletes. They're not going into their training. They're not going into their competition in a fasted state, in an underfueled state, or a dehydrated state. They're going in there with fuel, hydration locked in. And you might be thinking, Val, I'm not a professional athlete. Okay, but you're a busy mom and you're moving and you're exercising. You're doing a million things, and you still need to lock in your fuel and your hydration. And honestly, the fueling strategy is one of the reasons I felt so strong during this training block. I felt strong. I felt good. Hydration is another big thing. So I've kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's huge for performance. It's something that is often overlooked. People are going into their workouts, especially if their workout is in the afternoon, even in the morning, going into your workouts dehydrated. So the client I was just talking with last week, who goes to CrossFit 5 days a week, they're exercising 5:30 in the morning, going to a CrossFit class, and waking up at like 4:45, right? So not a lot of time to fuel and hydrate, but they're going in fasted and they're going in without any fluids. And we really tried to talk about like, hey, let's just start sipping on some fluids before going into your workout. It's a huge piece. Hydration is a huge piece, and it's often overlooked. Even mild dehydration can impact performance and health. Research shows that as little as a 2% loss in body weight from dehydration can significantly affect performance and health. Let's put that into perspective. If someone weighs 130 pounds, a 2% weight loss is about 2.6 pounds of fluid. Okay, so if you weigh yourself before your workout, you're really intense, you're super happy, you weigh yourself after, you see the weight go down and you're excited, that's not fat. That's not how it works. That is fluid. And if you're 130 pounds and that's 2.6 pounds or more, so if you're finishing at 127.4 pounds, that weight loss is water, 100%. And that level of dehydration is going to impact endurance, strength, concentration, recovery. It's going to increase your risk of injury. And so this is why hydration before and during workouts matters. And so this is what we can talk about in the group coaching program and one-on-ones, because this is what we can kind of tailor it to you, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. So we have to be able to hydrate. We want to make sure that we're getting more fluid earlier in the day. So are you getting in water before your coffee? Even if it's just half of a cup? Are you getting in water mixed in throughout your morning? And are you getting it in the afternoon? We want to stop fluid intake pretty early in the evening so that you're not having to wake up. As moms, we're already waking up with babies and breastfeeding and our toddlers waking up. Let's not let the fluids wake us up. And I know that can be hard, especially if you are used to waking up. Let's say like my toddler, she doesn't wake up one night, but my body is still used to waking up with her, and I will wake up and go use the restroom. And so that's something that I'm trying to work on so that I can train myself not to do that. But of course, that's hard. That's a totally different conversation. I want you to understand how important hydration is. Can we get in enough water, and can we get in enough fluids throughout the day? And you might be asking, okay, Val, how much water is enough? It really just depends. The very general recommendation is take your weight in pounds, divide it by 2, and that's minimum amount of ounces you need in water. For me, that's 65 ounces. That is not enough. That is not enough, because I am living in New Mexico at high altitude and it's warm. It's dry as hell here. So even if I didn't exercise, I would need more than 65 ounces of fluid a day. Add on being a busy mom and running around, and then my exercise and the goals that I want to achieve and reach, I'm going to need probably 80 to 100 ounces of fluid a day. And some of those days, I'm going to need some electrolyte supplements added in, because the electrolytes are going to help you hydrate. They're actually going to pull fluid into the cell so that you can hydrate. Okay, so we don't want just water, especially if you're a heavy sweater. If you're a heavy sweater, you're going to feel that, of course. You're going to be drenched after your workout, or you start sweating right away when you start working out. Or you can even think of a high salty sweater. You can see the salt stains, white stains on your clothing, or of course around your mouth if you're super dry. That's telling you, your body is trying to tell you, I need more fluid and I need electrolytes. So when it comes to exercise, we want to think fluid, hydrating first thing in the morning, throughout the day, stopping at a good time so that you're not peeing all night. We also want to think, am I getting enough fluids for what I'm asking of my body? Because you have a lot of fluids. You're about 60 to 80% water, and that is a lot of water. And we want to make sure that we're getting that in. You need fluid for muscular contraction. So are you going into your workouts hydrated? And do you need some extra electrolyte support to be able to help with that muscular contraction and also to help with hydration? So those are some things to think about when it comes to fluids and taking in water and making sure that you're hydrated. Now, many moms are trying to exercise regularly. It may just be a consistent routine, right? Maybe you're not training for something. You're just trying to exercise regularly. Maybe you're trying to lose weight. You're trying to build muscle and lose fat. You're taking care of the kids, managing your work and your personal life. And what often happens is they're trying to exercise like an athlete, but eat like they're dieting. I'm going to say that again. Many moms are exercising like an athlete, so pretty intense. They're going to the gym 3 to 5 days a week. They're doing cardio. They're doing HIIT. They're doing resistance training, but they're eating like they're dieting. Now, this combination is going to lead to fatigue. It's going to lead to poor recovery. It's eventually going to lead to an injury, intense hunger feelings later in the day, like you're starving. Oh my gosh, inconsistent energy. You won't be able to hit the lifts or the paces that you used to hit. Your body needs fuel to perform. So let's first talk about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred fuel source for energy. They replenish muscle glycogen. Muscle glycogen is stored carbohydrate in the muscle. This is going to help power your workouts. Depending on the length and the intensity of your workout, we may need exogenous carbohydrates, meaning we may need to take in carbs during the workout. So the client that I was talking to who was training for a half Ironman in the summer, she is often doing 2-a-days. She's often doing a bike and a run back to back because that's what her competition is going to be. So she's doing that during her training. Okay, that makes sense. But because those exercise sessions are really long, they're greater than 60 minutes, they're usually probably 2 hours plus, then we need some sort of carbohydrate add it in around 60 to 75 minutes during that workout. If you're going to a 60-minute CrossFit class or a 60-minute workout in the gym or body pump for 60 minutes, you're not going to need those extra carbs during that workout because it's only 60 minutes. So we really want to think about, how are you fueling yourself before going into that 60-minute workout? How are you fueling yourself after that 60-minute workout? So there's a lot of things that go into this. And I often say it depends when I'm asked this, because it depends on what you're training for. It depends on how long your training sessions are. And so I just want you to understand, carbs are the body's preferred fuel source for exercise and for energy. And they're going to replenish muscle glycogen, which is important because that's going to help power your workouts. Let's use me as an example. I'm going to the gym 5 a.m. and it's about 60 minutes. What am I doing before that workout and after that workout? Okay. And then you can also think when you're going and what you're doing before and after your workout. So it's 5 a.m. and it's really early. Some people don't like to eat that early, and that's okay. But I really want you to start thinking about pre-workout carbohydrates. Okay. Everyone is different, but for majority of women that I work with, they're going to need something before their workout. I love a banana. It's easy. It has about 30 grams of carbs. I feel good. Some days I may need a little bit more. When I was training for Hyrox, I needed my banana and a muffin before my workout because I was training very intensely for longer amount of time. Toast with peanut butter, oatmeal. Maybe you have some fruit, depending on or different types of fruit. Maybe it's paired with yogurt, rice cakes with nut butter. So the further you are from your workout, then you can start to add in more with your carbohydrates. You can add in protein, fat, and fiber. The closer you are to your workout, you want simple carbohydrates, easily digestible carbohydrates, so that your gut doesn't have to use all this energy and blood flow to digest when you're exercising, because blood flow should be in the extremities when you're working out. So carbs aren't the enemy. They are fuel. They are fuel. And the amount is going to depend, again, on what you're training for, what you're asking of your body. My client who's doing a 60-minute CrossFit class is probably not going to need as much as the client who's training for a half Ironman and who probably also needs about 30 to 60 grams of carbs during her workout as well. Now, let's talk about protein. Protein supports muscle repair and adaptation after training. Protein is made up of amino acids, and you need protein for literally anything, especially your muscle. Some examples post-workout, you can think about Greek yogurt, berries, granola. You're also getting carbs with that, which is important, okay? So after your workout, we're going to want to add in some sort of carbohydrates. The amount is going to depend, again, on what you're training for and what you're doing. But you are going to want to pair some sort of carbohydrate with your protein, because your carb is going to replenish muscle glycogen, as I just said, and then the protein is going to go to muscle repair and adaptation. If we don't have those carbs, then your protein can't repair the muscle and then help you adapt. It's going to actually help with getting in more energy for the muscle. Eggs, toast, and fruit. So after your workout, maybe it's a meal that you're having. Protein smoothie with banana and milk, chicken, rice, and vegetable. So let's use an example for the afternoon. Maybe you are going to a workout class after work. Maybe you go home. What does fueling look like afterwards? It's probably just dinner. You have some sort of protein, carbs, and your veggies in that meal. Boom, that's easy. Maybe it's in the middle of the day. Maybe it's lunch. So I would recommend to try to have your lunch after your workout versus having your lunch and then your workout, because your lunch is more than likely going to have more than just carbohydrates, and it's going to take longer for you to digest. If it's in the morning, then we want something light. It depends on the intensity of your workout. With my Hyrox training, I had a banana, like I said, plus my muffin, and my muffin had protein in it. So I was getting both carbs and protein. If it's a 45 to 60 minute lifting session, a banana is perfectly fine for me. So it really just depends on the timing during the day. It depends on what you're training for in terms of the amount and kind of like what that looks like when you're building a plate. But you are going to need protein after your workout, and you're going to want to pair it with some sort of carbohydrates to be able to help with recovery. Timing your nutrition around your workouts doesn't need to feel complicated. because it can easily be complicated, especially in the sports nutrition world. And you're thinking, okay, I'm training for a half Ironman or an Ironman, and I'm going to need a minimum of 60 grams of carbs per hour. Okay, how many hours am I training? But maybe I work up to 90 grams per hour. Like, there's a lot that can go into it, especially if we're trying to optimize and we're trying to PR, but it doesn't have to be complicated. One helpful thing to understand is that the closer you are to your workout, the more easily digestible your food needs to be. Okay, that's it. Because you don't want to work out with a full stomach. That doesn't sound fun. If you're eating 2 to 3 hours before your workout, you can have a balanced meal that includes protein, carbs, fats, and fiber. So something like chicken, rice, and vegetables, or eggs with toast, avocado, and fruit. If you are eating 30 to 60 minutes before a workout, you're going to want something easier to digest. That might look like a banana, toast with jam, yogurt with fruit, a smoothie, little energy balls that you made. Sometimes I'd have a Lara bar, something easy to digest that works for you, and you may need to do some trial and error. So essentially, foods high in fat, fiber, or large amounts of protein, that's going to take longer to digest. So eating something heavy right before a workout might make you feel sluggish. You might get sick. You might have to go to the restroom. You might have to throw up. And I don't want that for you. And so again, this is where personalization and trial and error definitely come in, and they definitely matter. Everyone's digestion is different, and for what works for so-and-so is not going to work for me. The goal is to find what helps you feel energized, not weighed down, so that you can do your workout, you can feel good, and then we can talk about fueling afterwards. A lot of moms try to piece together nutrition advice from social media. They're told, cut carbs, try fasted workouts, burn more calories, do this, do that, but performance and recovery require fuel. Progress happens when training, nutrition, and recovery work together. And this is exactly what we focus on in my 8-week group coaching program. We talk about starting to focus on your breath to heal your core and your pelvic floor, fueling and what that looks like, not only during your workouts, but during the busyness of the day, and something that's realistic as a busy mom. And then we start to tie in movements that are going to heal your core and your pelvic floor. It's going to improve symptoms of incontinence when you sneeze and you pee. We want to make sure that we're addressing that. We want to make sure that you're building muscle and you're supporting your bones and you're having the energy you need as a busy mom and to be able to do what you're asking of your body. Quick recap. Fueling your body and hydrating your body matters no matter who you are, especially as a mom, the hardest sport in the world, and especially if you're exercising, okay? If you're breastfeeding on top of all of this, that is going to require more energy and more fuel. I want to make sure that you're hydrating earlier in the day. Make sure you're getting in some water before your coffee and before you go into your workout. That doesn't mean chug a bunch of water. It means let's get in a little bit of fluids. Let's sip on some during our workout, some after and throughout the day. Make sure that you're limiting as you get closer to bedtime so that you're not peeing all night. And then understanding that we want to create these balanced plates and we want to strategically think about our macros around our workouts, because again, you don't want to go into a workout with a full belly of fiber, fat, and protein and complex carbohydrates. That's not going to feel good. And then we won't be able to use that energy from the food for that workout. So the closer you are to your workout, you're going to have something that's easily digestible. The further away you are from your workout, that's when we can start to add in the protein, the complex carbohydrates, the fat, and the fiber, because you have a longer time to digest. In my group coaching program, the Strong, Nourish, and Energized Mom Method program, I help moms create a system for strength training, core and pelvic floor, fueling workouts, improving recovery, and building sustainable habits that last, so you're not guessing what to eat around your workouts. We have it all in the program for you. If this episode made you realize that maybe you've been working really hard in your workouts, you're not fueling your body the way it needs, you're not alone. Most moms have never been taught how to fuel for exercise. Most women have never been taught how to fuel for exercise. And that's exactly why I created my 8-week group coaching program. As a sports dietitian, as a certified prenatal and postpartum fitness specialist, this is what I bring together in the program. And I'm so excited to be able to share that with you. No more guessing, no more piecing things together from social media, just a clear path forward, because you don't need more information. You need a plan that actually works for your life. If you're ready for that, you can learn more and apply. Join us at wellnessbyval.com/program. If this episode helped you, send it to another mama who might need to hear it. Stay strong, stay nourished, and I'll see you next week.
Hey mama, I hope you loved today's episode. If you got something out of it or simply enjoyed listening, would you please take 30 seconds to share it with another mom who could use the support? And if you haven't yet, I would be so grateful if you could leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you tune in. It truly means the world to me and it helps the show reach more amazing moms like you. All right, time to go chase my toddler around, stay strong and nourished, and I'll be back on Monday with another episode. Talk soon.